This is the Schmo with the Pro with the three-time Bellator lightweight champion, the hottest free agent turned UFC fighter, Mike Iron Chandler, here on Fight Island in the W on your balcony. Fight Island, how we doing?
This is great, man. This is awesome to be here. You know, it happened quick. Signed with the UFC quick. Got the opportunity. Said yes 3 different times. This is where we're at. Back up.
Yes, you are on your chartered flight heading over here to the island. You had Benson Henderson, who you just beat at Bellator 243, and Justin Gaethje on your flight. What was that like?
It was interesting, you know. I mean, but I've been so used to this, man. Growing up as a wrestler, you see these guys all the time. You're cordial. You know, I actually shook Justin Gaethje's hand on the flight. I had never met him before. You know, worked out in the same vicinity as Benson Henderson the night before in Vegas. It's just it's a small community, you know, and it's I respect Benson Henderson, I respect Justin Gaethje, I respect anybody who steps in the cage. So it's been a lot of fun thus far. It's a small world, and we'll see what happens next.
So naturally, when you shook Justin Gaethje's hand, you sized him up.
Yeah.
What were the thoughts and feels?
You know, I mean, the dude's a savage. You know, he's an absolute savage. The way he fights, the way he brings it. He's a wrestler. He's an American wrestler, just like me. So obviously, I'm a fan of his style. But that was the beauty of this. Whether I get to fight or I don't get to fight, here we are, standing next to you in beautiful Abu Dhabi. I get a dress rehearsal, a dry run if I don't fight. I get to size up Khabib, size up Gaethje, size up any other lightweights on the card, and go through the UFC experience whether I fight or not.
Yeah, go through the process of the weight cut, meet all the people, shake the hands, kiss the babies. You get the full UFC experience.
It's true. I haven't kissed any babies yet, but I have met a lot of the UFC brass so far, and it's good. You know, get a good working relationship with my new coworkers, my new colleagues, if you will, because the way I look at all these people here is in the UFC. They're my colleagues, and I want to put my best foot forward and show them exactly who I am.
So Justin Gaethje is an underdog. If you do not get to fight for this fight, what does Justin Gaethje have to utilize to beat Khabib?
Man, Justin Gaethje is an absolute animal inside the cage. I mean, I think the Justin Gaethje that stepped into the cage against Tony Ferguson was arguably the best lightweight on the planet that night. If that Justin Gaethje shows up calm, composed, confident, throwing heavy leather. We know he has good wrestling because he was an All-American. I personally watched him wrestle in college. I know he's a good wrestler. I know he's a scrappy wrestler. So he's got to just stop that takedown. And as we saw in the Khabib versus Gaethje fight, when Khabib can't take you down, it kind of throws him off his rhythm a little bit. As well as I don't think he's ever fought a competitor and a dog like Justin Gaethje is. So I love that Justin Gaethje is not talking about Khabib's technique. He's talking about Khabib's mindset and his heart, his soul, his spirit. How is Khabib going to react when he sees his own blood, when he gets into the deep waters, when he gets into a really, really deep-seated fist fight with a guy like Justin Gaethje?
If you do not get to fight on Fight Island Saturday evening, what's next for you, Mr. Chandler? Do you want a top 5 opponent? What makes sense?
I do. You know, of course, I don't want to come in entitled, you know, saying, you know, stomping my feet saying I want certain things, but I think, you know, either I am who I say I am or I'm not. You know, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. I want to get thrown to the wolves right away. You got Khabib and Gaethje. You got Conor and Poirier who are booked. That leaves Tony Ferguson. So Tony Ferguson said no the first time we talked about fighting here on this card, which would have been the co-main event. It would have been a great opportunity, a great exposure for both of us. So I'd love to fight Tony Ferguson. We'll see if we can make that fight happen.
Fair play. Now let's talk about some of your recovery, because you got some legendary workouts. We see this so right. What do you utilize that for?
Oh, man, I always had low back pain, and I was a wrestler hunched over for 15 years straight, and I always had low back pain. I just thought it was just a chronic thing that I had to live with. I discovered the So-Right actually in the prototype stage. It was a much more caveman like version of its current self. And it's absolutely taken away all my back pain just by getting deep into the psoas, realizing that the psoas muscle is connected to the hips, connected to the low back, and I use it every single day. As soon as I hop off the bed in the morning, before I go to bed at night, before and after every workout, and it's really kind of I've unlocked my body in a lot of different ways.
And you clearly got the Schmo hooked on it, too.
I did.
Let's talk about your teammate Gilbert Burns, supposed to be fighting at UFC 256 against Usman, who is also, I guess, your former teammate. Yep. Usman needs some more time to recover. What would you say is next for Gilbert Burns? Does he hold out and wait for that title fight, or does he go ahead and try to, fight with a Colby Covington or a Leon Edwards?
That's a tough one. It really is, because Gilbert Burns, and I said this to him as well, and I'll say it publicly, the Gilbert Burns that stepped into the cage against Tyron Woodley and put on that performance, you're going to be hard-pressed to beat that Gilbert Burns. So if that guy shows up, I think he can win the world title. So it's hard. It's not easy to come by UFC title fights, in this game. So if he has the opportunity to fight for the title, I say hold out. But I know they've floated the name Colby Covington. I know they've floated a couple different names. So it's a hard, the fight business, the business aspect of it needs to be put in the forefront of your mind sometimes, and you can't just think about fighting. You can't just think about stepping into the cage and making a paycheck. Gilbert is a true fighter through and through, but he's also a championship level fighter. So I'd like to see him hold out for the title, because I think he can win that title.
And a little 6 degrees of separation. Tyron Woodley, your teammate, Missouri Wrestling. Yep. He's the pro Michael Chandler. He's got blessed tattooed on his chest for a reason. We are blessed to be here. Beautiful Abu Dhabi Fight Island.
Yes, sir.
We are
here
and
there
and out.
Out. How am I supposed to know that? I just forget.